Chuck, sorry.
I just,
David Janke, 8428 Eastwood Road. Well, I got to follow up then. How are the ballots going to be fixed so people know? It says the ballots say to vote for 2. How are these ballots going to be fixed?
We can't fix them by telling them to vote for 3. You can only vote for 2. Now that was in fact before we actually had them printed, as I understand, the Ramsey County, we inquired to Ramsey County, etc., as to can we put 3 down. They said no. We wanted to put 3, and we were told you cannot do it.
So now all the people that, and a lot of them don't even know what's going on,
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
now going to look at a ballot and say to vote for 2, and you're going to take 3. That's legally right to do that?
Yep. In fact, our charter tells us that's what we've got to do.
There you go.
You have a situation in your charter, the state law, in this case, governs, and we have to turn in the names of the candidates to the county auditor within 45 days of the election. And so, under your charter, having turned those names in, which at the time there are only 2, and there's only 2 office holders that can file, and your charter says you cannot file less than 56 days before the election. So what you really do have a situation under your charter, and you are following the charter, is whether someone resigns or dies in office within that 45-day period, which is what we're in now, you still fill it by the election, the top 2 vote getters, but you aren't listing a 3rd name on the ballot because the ballots are turned in.
But the ballot is telling us something that isn't even true. That really bothers me.
Well, you are you are electing basically for the 4-year term. You are electing those 2. The top 2 vote getters will fill those 4-year seats. What we've got to do at the ballot is to let people know that even though they're voting 2, 3 will be elected. The third vote getter will, take over Sue's last 2 years.
Right.
And we'll get, I mean, it's confusing, I know, but
No,
Go
no
ahead.
matter how we do it, you could hold a special election and you'll get very, very few people showing up. I think the sad statement that we're all making here is that there's just not very much participation in elections.
especially
And how we get people out there other than just going into their homes and yanking them out and putting a gun to their head and say, vote, I don't know how you get them out there to actually participate. We could set up the easiest process possible and people still will complain or perhaps not vote. I get, me, Dave, I get all kinds of frustration about that sort of thing, but at least in a general election, you're going to get a larger number of people voting than you will in a special election. So more people will be voting. It's incumbent upon the voters, and as well as the city, to get the message out that there's going to be 3 elected. Brighten up, folks. Get educated. Figure out what it is you're going to do when you get to the polls. There's going to be 3 people elected.
Okay, Sue, and that is another issue.
Yeah.
That is another issue. The issue that I bring before is what it tells them right on a ballot. That tells them...
I understand.
Right, that's what bothers me more than any, and I don't know the legalities on it, and I haven't checked into it, but that's what bothers me. The other part we can't do anything about, but that ballot says 2, and I don't know, I'm troubled with that.
Well, but the thing is, Dave, we're following the law and we're following the charter. I mean, that's the guidelines we have to follow.
Okay.
we don't agree with, well, as you can hear, we
I
don't
didn't-
completely agree with them either.
I didn't write the charter and I didn't write the law, but nonetheless, we have a responsibility to live by it.
Okay, there's one other question, and I haven't been down for a while, is this dance hall that we bought, and I wanted to thank Sue, and Gary ain't here, for supporting, I think not to. Is this going to be a paying project, or are we going to sink tons of money into this hall that probably should have been torn down after 30 years? That's what they usually do to a hall like that. Is this going to be a self-supporting thing, or are we going to sink tons of money in this? And the survey was brought up that was taken that most people wanted it. Another question I maybe got to ask, and I should have checked into it, wasn't that survey taken amongst 3 or 4 villages?
No, we're talking about
Just Moundsville?
the survey that was taken about a month ago within just the city of Moundsville. In fact, there should be an executive summary, I think in the in the book over there?
We just got it today. I don't know if it's in there or not, but we can get.
Okay,
get a
that's
copy.
fine.
Yeah.
Is it ever gonna be self-supporting? And do we know how much money we're gonna stick into this thing?
As far as self-supporting, chances are, as I've always said, the senior center, the senior portion, if it goes my way, we don't know yet because we're still working on that. The senior and the teen center, teen center may, because at that point, and of course, then again, the senior center, I don't know what they're going to have their coffee, which they usually provide that themselves. And with the teen center, with the money possibly raised by the vending machines, et cetera, would pretty much self-support that. The school system is, talking about renting 5,000 square feet, which leaves us about another 5,000 to rent out for office space or, for use of that type of facility. They're talking about $10 a square foot per year. And so, that will not be an income, that'll be an income for us. If we go along, well, like I say, I'm looking at, and I can only speak for myself because there's still discussion here as to exactly what we're going to do within the building. Rent it out for weddings, et cetera. That'll be self-sufficient. So right now, I don't anticipate tax dollars, major, if any, tax dollars, going in to support that. The build-out would be used, if I, again, I'm speaking for myself, I'd be using tax increment financing dollars to build the walls around the senior center area and the senior and the teen center. The school system, as you would with any other lease, they would build out their own area.
So these are all ifs.
It's all ifs right now. I would have wanted them solidified by now, but, we've been, waiting for the survey to come back, et cetera, to find out just exactly, what people want. And basically, I feel vindicated because pretty much everything I've said is what we got back there. But, I think, in fact, I think even they've stated that the residents that were contacted, a majority who said, well, yeah, we could go anywhere between $2 and $10, for the senior and the teens, but anything else has got to be self-sufficient. But I hopefully don't even looking at $2 a household to support those two items. I don't see how that would happen.
That'll be an interesting project for me to track.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sure.
Yes.
Can I make
Sure.
2 points? One is since the subject has been brought up, we will be having a meeting here next Monday night at 6 o'clock for the community on the Bell Ray. Everybody is invited to come. It's an open meeting. We will, as staff and some of our advisors, will be working to present the status of where we're at. We've got several options to consider, and we're looking for some feedback plus some explanation of what the survey results said. The other point I wanted to make is just to the general electorate, as best as I can, being the clerk and responsible for the election. The point has been made that there are 3 council positions open. Your ballot will say vote for 2. If you vote for 3, your ballot will be spoiled. So it does mean what it says. It's not that we necessarily agree with that. We feel that this is the opinion that has been rendered and we have to live with it. But I'm sure that a lot of people are going to feel that they should vote for 3, but they can only vote for 2.
Then I want to come back to the floor on that. Okay, I've talked to several people, quite a few people, about the election coming up. Now, they got a totally different idea. They now think that because of this here, some of them that I talked to and said, well, there's 3 openings, we're going to have a lot of invalid ballots then because they have no, this just scares the heck out of me. I just can't comprehend because it's very going to be confusing to them people because it says vote for 2. They're now got in their mind they should vote for 3 because this other one's open. And to make them, I just don't know what we can do to make them understand how.
Other than as they're handed to the ballot, that they're going to be told
they can only vote for 2.
That's so they're going to have to say vote for 2. Council members, and that's that, and post maybe or that they. People realize they're only voting for 2 council members.
So when they come in, and as you hand them out, you're going to have somebody say you can only vote for 2, even though there's 3 open. Or,
It won't even state how
Yeah,
many
you can.
openings
Yeah, you
there
can.
are.
You can
but they
tell
got
them.
it in their head that, there's 3 open.
Right, so that's why you've got to say, you can even, and if they question, then you say, well, the third vote getter will get elected. However, you only vote for 2. I mean, like I
This
said,
is all
This is
legal.
all we can do, we're just
Okay.
following the process, and, we're as
Boy,
stuck as you are.
this
How about if I just take back my resignation and stay?
Can't, we've already accepted it. Sorry, Sue.
Okay.
Ain't gonna happen.
I'll just commute.
One of the things to follow up on that is that when the filing was open, it was stated that there are 2 positions open. So when filing took place, everybody that filed figured that there were 2 positions. The resignation came after filing closed and after notification is given to the county on the ballots. That's why we can't go back, and because of the time frame involved, a special election does not get held. So I don't think anybody is happy about it, but that's the situation that we've got.
I heard this before that time, so that's what I wanted to bring up. Report of Administrator.
Can I quick make one comment?
Sure.
Question is, okay,
Couldn't be fast enough.
on the non-compliance, you had just said they suggested. I take
Okay.
that, don't say, this is where the people get fooled. They suggested we make them. There's no suggestion, Mr. Linky. They said them changes have to be made.
Right, okay.
So please don't use those terms, because
Okay.
that's when the people say, well, they suggested we're going to change it. The other thing is, 30 years ago, they used on tiling asbestos. Do you even know if that's asbestos in there? And asbestos is a very costly item to take out.
See, I'm not sure if at that area, it seems to me it is not a floor tile, but a vinyl, it is a seamless, if I remember right.
But we
I'm not
have
sure.
no idea, do we?
Well, I haven't looked at that. The other areas, I agree, probably there is some asbestos there. However, you don't have to remove, you have the problem when you remove the asbestos tile. If you go over the top of it with either another tile or carpeting or whatever, you do not have that problem. You do not have the asbestos removal.
I don't know if I'd want my grandchildren in where there's asbestos.
I guarantee you,
Because all the
every time you
reports
walk
that I
into
read.
I guarantee you, when you walk into a shopping center over 20 years old, you're doing exactly that.
But look at all the reports about asbestos.
I agree, and
We
you
didn't
don't have
even
that.
check into that building to see if there's asbestos in there, did we?
There was an environmental study done.
Yes, there was.
And they did determine what issues there were for us, and we saw that before the purchase. If our administrator could probably
So
confirm.
there's not
that.
asbestos in there.
There may be some asbestos in the floor tiling, but there was nothing in the environmental review that said that it was a significant problem to be dealt with. And